Okay, guys, here we go. More big cats. 1/172nd scale big cats. Well, I want to get these guys ready to airbrush over this weekend. So we need to put some finishing touches on here to get them to that point. I don't think I need to take my contacts out, but we'll see. And I cleaned up this whole area and I can't find this idler wheel. So I'm going to go to plan B. What is it? Well, I'll tell you when I get there. I'm not worried about it. I have to pop one of these off to cast another one, but I'm not too worried about it. Ridiculous. The curse of the shitty model. Couldn't have happened to a better kit, though. Definitely. Okay, so this one is... One of these we're going to do with an open hatch, and the other one we're going to do with a closed hatch. With one of the hatches has got lost in the move, so I cast another one. This will be the one we're going to use for the closed hatch. So let's go ahead and trim this up, and we're going to go ahead and epoxy it. We got a few things that we need to epoxy, including the antenna for the Tiger 1 and yeah, I don't like doing the antennas on these vehicles until they're complete. They just end up getting in the way. It's just easier doing that when you don't have anything else that's going to be in your way. So let's go ahead and use the nail clippers to get most of the stuff off. And I'm going to experiment some more with a white milliput, but I think the green stuff actually behaves a lot better. It's not as grainy, it's not as hard. Jeez. There was an AA machine gun that came in one of the Shermans that I have at the old house that just disappeared off the face of the earth. It fell one time and the machine gun's gone, and I don't even have any heavy carpet or anything. Hey Glenn, hey Ben. Good early morning for you. Glenn, you're in the normal time. The whole world is on Eastern Standard Time. I know most people would probably say, well, most people are actually on whatever time zone it is in China. Said, okay, well, we just care about free people. So there's probably more free people on the Eastern time zone than anywhere else. freer people. This thing, I'm ready to paint this thing. It's so damn slippery. Well, I need to take about half the thickness off of this. I don't know if this will grind worth a damn. We're about to find out. Try not to take my... How does that happen? Can you sand your fingerprints off? Would they grow back? Let's get a prisoner and do that too. I don't want to experiment that on me. Besides, I've been fingerprinted for good stuff. I got not worried about my fingerprints. Maybe somebody else. Wow, this is going to take forever today. All right, let me try to cut the corner. This is a pretty new thing. If I screw it up, I'll just have to make another one of these. And they said that, a sharp X-Acto knife is less dangerous than a blunt one. And it never made sense to me, but it does it does now. You don't have to use that much force. It's the overcorrection, like whoops. I think of all the times I've used an X-Acto knife, I've probably cut myself maybe twice. This looks to be working relatively well. Okay, that saved me about 6 hours of grinding this shit off. I'll tell you what, I don't think I've ever needed a weekend as much as this one. This week has been total freaking hell. There you go, that opened that back up. I've got this hatch somewhere. Of course, it's too big. We'll cut it down a size. So we're going to do a couple of funky paint schemes with these tigers. And by funky, I don't mean ambush. Ambush is not that funky. You know, irregular more, I should say. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Tigers with no tools and stuff on it. I actually might have some tools in my parts bin. Problem is finding my parts bin. Feel like I still haven't properly moved in. Still got boxes in the garage with the rule books and stuff like that. Okay, perfect. There's the hatch. This will be the one that's closed. And the other one will be the one that's open. And we're going to need to epoxy that in place. And we'll have to put a little piece of like green stuff here or something that's supporting it so that I can do it in the morning. So we're going to leave that for last, those two epoxy things. We've got the Yag Tiger's ready to go. Yag Tiger's ready to go. This Panther's ready to go. This one needs to be primed. And I'm going to put the shirts in on the Panther afterwards. Here's all the extra little tracks that we cast from the Yag Tiger. And I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on each one. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8. And then this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I do need to use these two. And this is the milliput. And it's almost like plaster Paris. And this is the illustrious Pegasus model Tiger 1s. Probably shouldn't have waited this long to do this, but shit happens. I've had a busy week. Yeah, this is like drywall. That's what it seems like. I kind of like that this one's still flexible to some degree or another. Should be on tomorrow morning for you morning folks. Morning aficionados. And I have a couple of interesting World War II news that I found out just in casual video watching. And it seems almost an unbelievable thing that I found. Maybe if you do the math, you figure out it's actually believable, but it seems unbelievable, at least on the surface. And I'm going to go look it up. I actually don't know the answer to it. But there's something that I saw in the video, and it had to do with production numbers of German vehicles of World War II. And it was in a video I came across this week, and I was watching it. I'm like, I gotta look into that. It just seems hard to believe. Well, it's getting there. And then we can huff this later, or whatever it is that you do with it. Shoot it up? I don't know. I don't need to do drugs. I got lots of alcohol in the house, and you see, I'm not even drinking that. But I've pretty much come to the conclusion that I'm never going to be an alcoholic. After this week in particular, I didn't have a single drink after work. I'm pretty much never going to be an alcoholic. I've passed that test. All right, let's see how deep this is. Still too deep. I may end up not being happy with how it turns out. This one's okay. The green one's okay. I know it's going to be thicker than the track actually is, but hey, it's a wargaming model. It may not look very good now, but I can tell you I'll end up making it look okay. I got a lot of confidence in my abilities. I didn't when I got back. I did a year and a half ago, but now I've knocked out over 100 vehicles out, and I've been pretty much happy with all of them. So, okay, I think if I go any thinner than that, I'm going to run the risk of it breaking. Not at least it's the same thickness as the green ones. All right, I gotta look up that info because it's driving me crazy. I'll look it up on my phone. Should be easy to look up on my phone. Okay. Okay, yeah, it is unbelievable. So I came across this video that it was talking about how many vehicles were manufactured, most numerous German vehicles or whatever. And it said Panzer IIIs, there was 500 and something of them. I'm like, that's not possible. Because that means that there were just as many King Tigers as there were Panzer IIIs. That just doesn't make any sense. But here it says 5,700, excluding Stug 3Gs. Yeah, well, those are a totally different category. Panzer III were produced. Looks like it was a big error in the... Yeah, it's not possible. Yeah, they made about as many Panzer IIIs as they did Panthers. Over $5,000. It just seemed really, really weird. You know, can't trust anything you see on the internet, folks. Maybe they made a specific an error. Somebody's making videos about the production values of World War II tanks, and they don't know anything about World War II tanks. You don't see me making videos about quantum physics. If something doesn't seem right, it's probably not right. I'll have to find that video and comment. Hey, dumbass, you forgot to move the decimal point. Yeah, of course it's not going to be right. So I just talked about it the other day. The Panzer at Kursk, the Panzer M, the latest version, technically, although the N is more later than the Panzer III M, but doesn't have a main battle tank gun. It's got the support gun. It's got a 75mm support gun. But the long 50 that's in the M, that's technically the pinnacle of the Panzer III design. And they made 250 of those. And I talked about it in an earlier video that, they made over 1,000 Ls. And they had added Ls with, shirts and armor and stuff on there. So the likeliness of having a long-barreled Panzer III at Kursk, it's actually more likely to be an L than it is an M, just by sheer numbers. And, it didn't make sense that that video only showed 500 Panzer IIIs made. That doesn't make any sense. I was like, that's crazy. I thought about it and I'm like, well, that's not very many. I know they did ramp up production, but you're telling me they made just as many, almost as many King Tigers as they did those? Nah. Check your facts, pal. Okay, I think I'm going to leave that be. I'm going to take this, sell this on the black market. I bet this material is related to what do you call it stuff? Drywall, some degree or another. Now, depending on how anal I want to get with this, I'm actually, after this is epoxied on, because I'm going to epoxy them on, I might actually drill these little holes and then put a piece of sprue so it looks like it's on a hook or something. But we'll see what it looks like. I'm not a fan of doing extra work just for the sake of doing extra work. I'm a different kind of sadist, not that one. As soon as I catch wind that something's like busy work, I'm like, I show no interest in going on with it. There's like real work to do to just be creating fake tasks for yourself to stay busy. Okay. So, we're going to put all these white ones on the same one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and these all go on the other tank. All right, so this one's got the Commander on it. And it also has terrible fit and finish. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to need the Vallejo putty. A little bit of water here? I do. Okay. And I'm not an expert using this. This is just an idiot trying to get by. I'm not an expert, but I got a clue. A clueless expert. I normally use the back side of this, but I'm going to take a little bit of that stuff off. And the hole is already pre-drilled for this. This is locked in place. I don't have a book on the King Tiger, I don't think. I mean, why would I? It's just such a specialty vehicle. I got one on the Tiger 1. I got one on German Tiger tanks. Let's see what's in here. This is a good old Verlinden book. Verlinden used to be the guy in the early 90s. Like, nobody was better than him. Now there's, other aces. But this has King Tigers in here. I want to get a look at the front of the King Tiger turret. Okay, that is the pre-production turret. People like to call the Porsche turret. I'm talking about a Henschel. We need to see the front of a Henschel. A production turret, as people like to call it. As it should be called. Well, that wasn't very useful. That's typical. These days, a lot of these books are. There's so many better sources. So I know I don't have a squadron book. I like the squadron books the best, really, and mainly it's because of their line drawings. They're just succinct and clear. King, Tiger, turret, front. Images. Okay, it's got this oblong hole. It just doesn't have a machine gun hole. And it needs to. Let me get my drill bits here. And find one that's not very expensive. And where's the super duper tweezers? Not these, but these will do. Go a little bit bigger than that. I think that should be fine. Now let's make sure that this is sharp enough to go in there. I was afraid of that. It's not. Which means this one's probably been used a lot. When you're cutting into stuff like white metal, It'll dull these things like crazy. All right, let's try this one. We'll practice down here for... Okay, that's good. All right, now. We're going to take this spot where there's this sprue hole, and we're going to put a little something like that so that this thing you can get a purchase on it. Okay, now we've got a little hole there for the machine gun. Honestly, I don't think I'm gonna put a machine gun through it. It's just an armored spot there where it's at. That actually turned out really well. Okay, and we're gonna do the same thing on the other one. Real simple thing to do, and you know, it's needed. That's one thing I like about plastic vehicles. This is relatively easy to do. And it's even easier if this plastic wasn't so slippery and brittle. Like this is a breeze with, like, you know, Plastic Soldier Company in particular. If you have to do any kind of modifications or something like that. It turned out even better. Okay, so we got that. That's kind of a critical part. I may end up putting holes in the top and put the little... There's these little hooks. There's these round little hooks that go on the roof. And it sounds real anal retentive, and it kind of is. But I need to get some sprue before that and then be able to bend the sprue. So I don't know if I'm going to take that on. But they had like these clevises so they could lift the turret off. We'll see if we still have any energy to do that later. Okay, this is going to get epoxied. And so are these additional track links. And then one of these is going to be epoxied open. Now on here, I'm going to get this going and I'm going to try to apply it straight to it. Almost like it's got a weld. But you can't have that gap in there, or the assistant machine gunner will be getting soaked every time there's a little bit of a sprinkle. And then we're going to take a brush and smooth that out a little bit. But this applicator is pretty freaking cool. I'm going to go all the way around just for good measure. Okay, we'll come back and mess with that in a moment. And then we'll do the same with this one, because this looks stupid with the gap. Mind the gap. This is the illustrious Pegasus model, King Tigers. which I never recommend anybody get, ever. Okay. I'm actually going to let that set a little bit. Okay, I think we need putty on the top of this. We're good. And there's places where they should have hooks to them, but they don't. And you could probably use epoxy for this, but I'm not going to. I'm going to use you could probably use super glue, but I'm not. I'm going to use epoxy. I like that. I thinned it down just a little bit. I may do that to all of these. They're a little on the thick side. I don't think if I put it over the grinder, it's going to fare too well. Let's see. The hell do I know? Ben, you were the one that gave me the idea of this Hindo de Washi stuff. It took me a while to really do anything with it. I plan on doing more stuff with it. It's pretty cool. Honestly, the coolest thing about it is you can make a mold and just say, you know what, I don't need any more King Tiger tracks. I'm going to go ahead and melt this compound and make it into something else. Okay, this is what I need to do. This is how I need to go about it. Because now we've thinned this. See, I believe it's this way. To a pretty reasonable level. All right, I'm going to put this one over here. That one is in the completed pile. It's just the turret is just totally barren without that. Much prefer the green stuff. Much prefer the green stuff. Let's start off evening this out, and then we'll come in and trim it as we did. This line up looking pretty cool. I hope the fact that it doesn't have any tools on it doesn't really detract from the look of it. But I'm going to go ahead and write myself a note so I don't forget. I am going to check and see if I got some extra tools. Tools. Wow. Okay. Tools for what? The Key G. No. King Tiger. Hindo to Washi sounds like a name of some Japanese hero. Look out! Here he comes! Who's that? Hindo to Washi. Yeah. Where's he from? The Washi. Hindo, and he comes from the Washi. Now, I do need to go to the store tomorrow and see if I can't return that panel line marker from Tamiya. As I kind of impulse bought that because I had it in handy. I don't like the fact that it's enamel. I don't know. I just was in a rush. Yeah, it's $10 I can use towards something else. You know, it's not going to kill me if they don't take it back, but I don't think I'm going to mess with it. I don't really want to clear coat the entire vehicle just to do the panel wash. And I like using the Agrax Earth Shade. Not the Agrax Earth Shade, the Gnome Oil. I went to some stores yesterday, not in this town, but I was traveling for Easter. Okay, hold on one second. Okay, that was a freaking Alexa on a tirade. Not on a tirade, but just, I don't have those. I don't like that thing. That to me gave her a bitch voice. To give her like a shitty ass English accent. Like, man, make her sound like Kate Beckinsale or something. You know, not like some uppity bitch. Although Kate Beckinsale might be an uppity bitch. At least she's a good looking uppity bitch. Oh man. It's actually working pretty well. This is sat for a couple days now, so it's still kind of semi-hard. Don't go there. And you know, but it's holding together well enough. It's almost kind of like it's almost like I'm carving wood bricks or something. I mean, mud bricks or something. And if these don't turn out how I like them, I got more of the molds. I could bake more. I was a little concerned about putting this hot mold material up against the Yag Tiger and really messing it up, but I guess that didn't really happen. That one turned out really well. And before I actually glue these, I'm actually going to treat the turret with some really fine sandpaper. You go into your local store tomorrow, just need some new pin vise drill bits, and I might grab some model rail flooring to do some terrain. Pico UK makes some good stuff in plastic. Pico. They don't import that. Never heard of them. So, you know, this scale-ish is supposed to be, what do you guys call it? 00? It's not HO. HO's 187th. It's like OO. And that's like a British scale. Is that they still make stuff in that scale in Britain? You can pick up a bunch of OO buildings. I was going to go through this one hobby store they had in the town I was in. And I went by there and it was too early. I went to the mega books, the big bookstore, the used bookstore place, and I ended up walking out of there empty-handed, which I really got pretty good self-control. I just want to look at stuff, but sometimes you just realize, you know what? I could pretend I bought this book and just never looked at it. So I'm just going to forgo it. I did get a couple of magazines from War Game Soldier and Strategy that digital. Actually, I had to rebuy a couple of them because they were gone on my last phone. I didn't save them anywhere else. But I think that's $5 well spent. I was actually surprised to see that they had a couple of articles by famous people on the internet, or relatively people that I know of off the internet. That was pretty cool. I'm not really much of a writer. I'm not really interested in writing. I get a lot more views on this than I ever got on my what's that stuff called? Like I've forgotten what it's called now. Ooh, we're getting close on this. WordPress, on my WordPress site. And then this costs me nothing. You guys just hanging out with me. I'd be doing the same things. Seems a lot of places. Damn heart. And I've had zero interest or time to look out how to get that thing off. List HO and OO together. Yeah. OO is like a British scale. I think the closest thing that they had, there was a scale here that was between O gauge and HO called S gauge. And it wasn't really popular here in the United States, but it was available. And that was like 1/64th, I think, or something like that. Hoe scale. So if nobody knows anything about model railroads. Hey, I want a model railroad and hoe scale. It's like, okay, you don't know anything about this. Noob. I have some HO trains, but my dad was really big into that. But I can't be into everything. I mean, I can't even do DBA and do this. So I got time for this, some occasional console gaming, which, by the way, I've been playing the hell out of. Not the hell out of, but I'm playing it every day. World of Warships, and I've kind of grown into it. I mean, I know too much about that stuff to really enjoy it, but I guess I've enjoyed it for what it's worth. You get to see move some ships around, and I think it's the range estimating part that's kind of got me, excited about it. I'm not going to go buy ship models or anything like that, but I have been playing it every morning. And I got home from work. I'm like, let me sink some ships. You got to do the task. You got to get that Japanese commander dude before he's not available. It's just something to do. but it's hokey. You know, it's geared for people that don't know anything about World War. Nothing about warships. And so one of the things that people always disliked about playing naval war games is there's basically no terrain. But you know the terrain there is in World Warships. They just put a lot of really unrealistic terrain, like you're fighting in freaking places ships shouldn't even be fighting in of that size, anyways. Like PT boat type of environments. And here's a battleship. You know, same thing. Like you know, you shouldn't be playing with tanks inside of a built-up area. But you'll have entire boards of World of Tanks that's all an entire built-up area with no infantry. Like, just take it for what it's worth, you know? Not going to be a realistic simulation, and I'm not going to spend any real money on it. Okay, this is the way to do it. The thickness on these is pretty appropriate. Hey, it wouldn't be as good as like if I bought them aftermarket, but I could make as many of these as I want to. Only thing is you got to wait overnight or so for these things to dry. That's the only bummer. Was it you? Was it you that told me about this, Ben, or was it Hoffman? It was you or Hoffman, one of you two guys. But if we ever get to Africa to do the Africa Corps, we're going to buy some extra tank stuff from like, what's that? What are those guys in the UK? Black Dog? I think Black Dog is folks. And we'll cast us some extra ones and modify them. Well, you're not supposed to do that. Well, I'm not going to sell to anybody. Jeez. I don't care what you are or aren't supposed to do. It's where your heart is, you know? I'm not going to buy a set for those things are really expensive for one set. Or like the Plastic Soldier Company extra stuff. They don't make it of all nations. They just make it for the Nazi bastards. So you got extra tank commanders. Okay, I got plenty of those. We got extra road wheels and shit like that. It'd be nice to have some extra road wheels to put on, like, the outside of this Panther. You know? 116th did stuff like that in Normandy. They were running around with Panthers that had an extra road wheel on the side of the turret. I don't mind doing shit like that. Just like my copy of DBA. You know, I bought my copy of DBA. First thing I did is photocopy it. Oh, you can't do that. I said, well, I'm not going to give it to anybody. I'm going to teach hundreds of people how to play this freaking game. And I shouldn't, and I'm not going to get paid for it. So I might as well not destroy my copy of it. That's the only reason. You know? I don't know how many copies of DBA I'm responsible for people having bought. But at least 3. I'm sure, I got no beef with the Barkers. Absolutely none. They're nice folks. Okay. I'm even able to get away with it on the milliput. I got to be careful, not get too carried away. One of these days I'm going to grow some balls and do a winter paint job. The problem is I'm going to like it so much I'm going to want to winterize other stuff. So look at this. That turned out well. Much better than sanding it. Still haven't seen that Godzilla -1. Maybe it'll be somewhere to stream it or whatever when the daughter gets back. I think she's in a month. She'll be here for the summer, so we catch up on a bunch of. I was gonna say adult movies, but that sends the wrong message. War movies. If there is somebody watching adult movies with their daughter, I don't want to know about it. Not cool. Whoa, got close there. Living a charmed life. I've never done a search for OO stuff. I bet you could find it online. Oh! Alright, I snapped that one, but I think it's salvageable. I don't want to cast another ones. I want to be able to spray these two guys tomorrow. Okay. So one of these is going to have the commander. Here's the hatch. We're going to need to epoxy this. Let's go ahead and get all this together. This stuff actually works like a charm. I can't think of anything that works better than this. Probably use half of this amount. And then we're going to create I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's do what we said we were going to do. Yeah, that should be fine. Let's take a piece of sandpaper or sand film and let's rough up the texture of this turret because it's slippery as snot. The sides mainly. I don't need to worry about the top. The sides. Okay, and do the same thing with the other one. This is uncharted territory for me. I'm just figuring this out. I'm just using experience and common sense. I wasn't expecting that to happen. Now the only thing about these tigers is, these king tigers, is they have, I don't have any funky numbers. I got pretty much standard numbers. I don't have any of the blue ones or anything like that. And I kind of want to do it with the blue ones. So I may be hand painting these numbers. The blue ones look pretty cool. I saw a die-cast model that's done kind of the colors I want to do one of them. Okay. Now, we're going to need to epoxy that. Epoxy this one. What we were doing is, let's build this underneath it so it has some support. So when I go and epoxy this, it's being held by something, because not only that, but this is completely flat, the bottom of this, and there's like a little hole in there. So like, you know, the quality control by this company is just non-existent. You know, these guys were on a noodle break or something like that when it was time. I'm going to actually push this past it. And when I put this down, it's going to squish and it'll be able to hold it in place there. Okay, and then tomorrow morning we'll take that off and we should be golden. All right. So I don't want to start the placement of that with this one. So I want to do it on this one. And the placement of these things. So it goes on there. So I'm going to have to mix up some epoxy, and it's probably going to take a couple of attempts because there's no way I'm going to be able to get all this precision stuff done in a short amount of time. I'm going to grab a piece of cardboard that has been used for other purposes. Oh, great. And I'll get all this shit on me, which I just vacuumed in here today. Son of a biscuit eater. Where's my vacuum? Hopefully it's fully charged. This is what we're going to mix our epoxy on. Let's get a needle, which works wonders and is completely 100% reusable. It's a sustainable needle. Okay. Okay. And let's get the epoxy out. All right. We got messish This is the hardener. Let's not get crazy with a bunch of it. We don't need a bunch. All right. And first thing I'm going to do is that hatch. This is not going to slip on me. It's on a horizontal surface, not a vertical one. All right, I'm going to use that same mixer here. See, what do I got on here? The super readers, okay. I'm going to go ahead and push this back up a little bit. I'm going to put a tiny little dab here. That's how it is. And when I pull this off, I'm going to pull it down, away from it, and it should hold in place. That's why I'm a fan of epoxy. We're going to do that one second. All right. We got 4 of these. How do these sit on here? Let's see. We got the indentations up. All right, so let's just, where's my super tweezers? No, actually, no, let's use the super tweezers. They're a much finer point. Super tweezers, because they're like super, you can't afford them. Like you want to rebuy Swiss tweezers, like $50 a piece. I'm like, oh shit. I mean, I know I'm worth it, but that's oppressive. Okay, we need the parts that the track link is towards the top. Okay, is this the one that's kind of half-ass broken? Yes. Okay, so this needs to go towards the top. I'm going to go ahead and grab this. We'll go ahead and do both. And this has got to be an improvement because this is a pretty shitty model. Okay, and let's not forget a couple of things. Let's not forget the antenna on the Tiger 1. Okay, let's not forget the hatch on here. All right, let's keep on plugging away. Okay, we've got another one that's going to be here. And we got another one that's going to be right below it. I'm going to put all these white that aren't good ones on the same side. So you don't have one that looks better and another one in the same view. I could just say, yeah, screw these. I'm going to make ones out of green stuff, but I think they'll work well enough. Now, I'm going to go grab my Verlinden book again, make sure I don't have any stuff on here. And just make sure that they aren't staggered. Okay, it looks like the front one is a little bit farther forward than the other one. Not so much on the back one. Okay. No, the holes certainly don't necessarily align with that. All right. You have enough stuff to do the other side? It's questionable. I better not risk it. We'll mix up another batch. You want to go through all this trouble and then do a shit job. I'm just going to make a small amount. Try to not touch those. And put this line there. Oh. Come on, Tigger. The incorrigible antenna. It's going to move on me in a little bit. We'll catch it just before it's too late. It's actually, never had one give me that much trouble. Okay. Do this one here. I think I did the right thing not buying another kit. I think this works good enough for me. I'm relatively happy with it. I mean, this Pegasus kits don't deserve spending something that costs more than the actual kit for the detail thing for it. They are not worthy. So both of these tanks we're going to do 1945 type paint schemes. One of them we're going to do in primer red. And the other one we're going to do in this dark green. Okay. And let's do the same thing on this one, trying to avoid to not mess with the hatch. Did she finally stay? Okay. Just the antenna adds just a little nice three-dimensionality to it all. Okay. And put the more rough ones towards the bottom. This one's kind of rough. But you know, this is my first attempt using green stuff for this kind of stuff. So, you know, it stands to reason that it'll get better. And honestly, well, you'll see when it gets painted. Honestly, I think it's going to turn out just fine. Then when we're done with this, we'll go see if I can find my toolkit. You know, I had half of mine to cast some of these things as tools and put them on the side, but you know, that's extremely labor intensive. And not sure I can pull it off right now with my primitive green stuff mold making skills. Okay, we'll do the same thing on this other side. You know, I just learned how to crawl. No reason in enlisting in a marathon. But these are terrible models. And I don't mean because they have lack of detail. They're not good. Buyer beware. Okay. So we should have 4 left. We have 4 left. Those are still about where they need to be, okay? All right, which are the crappier ones? This one? I'd say this one. So we're going to put this one down here. I'd say this one's crappier. Whoop. Okay, I've got it staggered a little bit. I think it gives it a little bit of personality. Same thing there, same thing there. Okay. Okay. That'll be revisited in the morning when we go airbrush them. And then this one's going to have this little Nazi bastard up there like that. Okay, I didn't add. Make sure we get this off of it. We don't want to transfer this stuff to other things. I didn't add the wet paintbrush. I don't think I need to. I think it's just fine. Might be too late. Let me see. It probably doesn't need it. Let's see if this stuff is set. This stuff actually sets pretty fast. No, I think it's good just the way it is. I mean, it is welded on there. Okay, let's see if I got some tools. Where they could possibly do it. Because that would add a little bit of personality to this. My old Hasegawa Panther. My Hasegawa Panther D. I was pretty proud of this paint scheme way back when, but that just doesn't cut it anymore. We're going to repaint that thing. If you can do better, do better. I try to do as best as I can. No, don't tell me it's in one of the... I just remember where it may be. It might be in one of the tackle boxes outside. Well, here's a bag of extra stuff. Are there any tools in here? We're about to gonna find out. Let's put this away. Okay. It's gonna look a hell of a lot better than without having that. So the only reason I bought these Pegasus is I used the credit from Noble Knight. They had them. I was limited. I wanted to get something in 1/72, so. Let's move this out of the way. This is dangerous from the standpoint that I can get something sticky on and then transfer it to 60 different places. Okay, we got some Eschi tank commanders here. And other type of commanders. What do we got here? We got ammo, jerry cans. This is from Panzer IV kit. As a matter of fact, while I'm thinking about this, I'm not going to use the good Tamiya clippers. I'm going to use the crappy ones. Let's trim some of this extra plastic. I thought I had done that. So this doesn't, for instance, you've got this, and you can get rid of all of this. So now you only need this. There's nothing in here. I'm not going to keep this for sprue. Sprue just doesn't behave like it used to. Okay, there's nothing here or here or here or here. So that can disappear as well. Okay. What else we got here? This is a part to Panzer IV. We got some extra Panzer IV tracks, which actually don't look bad. Oh, we got some tools here. That's cool. Let's set this off to the side. What else we got here? We got an idler wheel from maybe a Panzer IV or something like that. Oh, this is the white scout car thing. But we don't use slippery mother. Okay. We don't need, see? That can come off. Let me think. We don't need any of that. And we don't need this, or this, or this. I thought I had done this. Okay, here's some more track that's non-denominational. I have a feeling it's probably from the Hummel. I'm just going to keep this. And that, and that, and that, and that. I would just stay on the ground. I'll pick all you pieces off the ground one time. Okay. What's this? This is a Panzer Crew that looks lame. I don't want to keep these. Maybe I can make something of them. Here's a set that came with the couple dorks here. All this for one Panzer crewman. No, I'm just going to take him out. The rest of it's garbage. What do we got here? There's two little pieces here. I'm not keeping that. What's this? Some shells. This is from the Pack 40 set from Eschi. ESCI. I'll keep that. All this can go in the garbage. And what else we have here? We got some shirts in. We got some exhaust from a 3/4 ton truck. And here's where some tools are. All right, so we'll leave that. All right, let's put this back. We don't need that. We don't need the shirts in. We don't need the white scout car. We don't need this Panzer crewman or this guy, or this is extra screw. Or, all right, I'll get the piece out. This is extra track for a Mark IV or something like that. Don't need those Panzer crewmen right now. This has some odds and ends for a Panzer IV. This is really nice. This is actually pretty nice from a plastic kit. We're going to keep these. I don't think I want to use the originals. I think I want to reproduce these. So we'll see how that goes. Jerry cans, we don't need those on a Tiger 2. Germans have no fuel by that time. This is idler wheels for Panzer IV. We don't need that right now. I guess I didn't have it in the tool kit. In the toolbox out there. This is just Panzer crewman. Crappy plastic little Panzer crewman. All right, that can go in here too. Yeah, this will come in real handy when we're doing some Africa Corps stuff. And we'll create extra of those things. Yeah, this is from the Panzer IV Eschi kit. Yeah. So let's take a look at some pictures of a king tiger. And other than that huge freaking windy ass cable, which I don't have one of those, I'm not gonna, I'm fine with them not having that on there. They don't even have it on this Yag Tiger. There's like not a gun cleaning kit on here. You don't even have the ubiquitous jack. Oh, the ubiquitous jack is down here at the bottom, so it has it. I don't have a shovel, unless it's in here. What do we got here? And a pickaxe, okay. A fire extinguisher, okay. And that's about it. These are extra parts of who knows what. All right, so I really don't have that much. I actually thought I had more than what I do. Okay, well, I'm not going to worry about it too much. Let's see if there's something. I can't believe I don't even have I don't even have a shovel. Wow. The problem with the shovel is the handle. The handle's just not going to... It's not even going to be able to transfer over well. Now, I got some Panzer IIIs. I don't know if they came with any extra pieces parts. Not in there. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to worry about that extra junk. These guys, after they're dry, obviously we'll take that little piece of the stick 'em, as I like to call it. These guys will be ready to prime, and they'll look good enough for the cheap ass friggin' models that they are. So those two are ready to go. Now, I'm not done yet. I still got enough energy. I don't know how, but the power of coffee. And we should be back on in the morning as well. We do an airbrush episode in the morning. I don't think my airbrush is too loud to bother the missus. So, I think I'm going to respray this thing. I'm just going to respray that Panther. I'll take pictures of before and after. I'm like, okay, does it look better? Yeah. Yep. All right. Working on cats. Time to work on the Puma. Okay, I have a little baggie right here that has all the extra tires and tracks on all the half tracks. Got mid-war Dunkelgelb that we're going to dry brush over this. And we might dry brush some green over it because it's almost like a dark gray, to be honest. Let's get some hand sanitizer to soften these bristles up some. Could probably just, nah, hand works fine. Keep this away from it. Look at that old paint that just comes off. I guess I was doing a green vehicle with it. It's like magic. I don't know if somebody else has discovered this. I'm sure they have. It's not likely that I came up with it on my own, but I didn't hear about it, so it's my own discovery as far as I'm concerned. I think it's pretty cool for something so damn simple. Like, oh yeah, rubbing alcohol worked too. Oh, you can't pour rubbing alcohol on your hand. None of it will be left on your hand. It'll all be all over this. So the fact that this is gel-like is extremely helpful. Let's neutralize that with water. And we're good to dry brush with this now. Okay, this is Mid-War Dunkelgelb from MIG, which is the same color that we have on there before, pre-putting the stripes on. And we're going to go excuse me, we're going to go really light. Always like to test it on the wheels first. Now I think I bought this one off of an estate sale. It is a die-cast-ish model. Not everything of it is die-cast, but most of the things are. It has some plastic parts on here, and I want to see. I've caught a glimpse of these not really a kit. It's already pre-done. It can't be a kit if you've already been made for. All you gotta do it. But it's. I think I've caught a glimpse of them on eBay, and they're really inexpensive. And the reason I recognize it is because it has a muzzle brake that is inaccurate. Has an inaccurate shaped muzzle brake on this vehicle. Meanwhile, in China, they were just creating these absurdly anachronistic muzzle brakes on these vehicles. Not more than that, just kind of brighten it up a little bit. We'll do the same thing with the turret, and then we'll come in and try to mess with some of that green. Because right now it just looks like dark gray, which looks okay. Now, as cool as this vehicle is, and as nasty as an armored car would be with a long 50 millimeter gun, it has a 2-man turret. So, it's got its limitations. You got a commander who's also the gunner. Okay, now, the green we're going to use, I'm trying to think what color I used it in. I want to say it was a protective green. And we're not going to go heavy on it. We're just going to brighten some of that up. Really could use any green, even something like this. Medium olive. I want it to be relatively bright-ish. Let's see what we got here. Luftwaffe camouflage green. That's not bad. That might have actually been what I used. Let's go with that. Unless it's this one. No, black green. Let's see what this looks like. And then we're going to get a dry brush, but a really small one. One we can control a little bit better. Maybe something like this. And it has little rubber wheels. So I don't have to paint them black already. They come black. Now hopefully this isn't super watery. But if it is, it's not going to be any wetter than this AK stuff. All right, which breeders do I have? Oh, I don't have the super ones on. Let's get the super ones on. Oh, much better. So let's just go over an area that should be relatively easy to fix and see if this is dark enough. I mean, and green enough. I don't think it's going to be. It's not. We need to do something that's a little bit more pops. Let's try that medium olive. Now, let's ruin a brush. Don't need to make it super bright, just add a little bit more green to it. It's kind of, gray. Which is okay, but it wasn't the look I was looking for. This is not the look you're looking for. And then we're going to go over with the same Dunkelgelb again. Blend it in. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Just subtle. Remember, this whole thing is going to end up getting weathered too. So it can't look super dull because then when you add the weathering to it, it's going to look really, really dull. You know, and you could do this without using an airbrush. You can make a airbrush looking camouflage scheme with just using your brushes. And it could turn just as good or better. I'm personally a hell of a lot better with a paintbrush than I am with an airbrush. I'll never be close to my level with an airbrush that I am with a regular brush. Okay? So this goes in here. That looks pretty good. And now we're going to come back and go to this. I really like the edges. When you have a camouflage scheme that goes over a hard edge, I want the edge to stand out. It makes it look like the camouflage has been blurred out. You know, like you didn't paint it yesterday, and that's where it's gonna. We're gonna really light on this. We just want to just kind of work all this together. Less is more. No, less is always less. The saying should have been less can be better. Less is more. No, less is never more than more. It just might be better, and it frequently is. You could overdo something. These German vehicles have all these little angles, most of them. Really got to make all that stuff stand out to really get appreciate the form of it. Let's go around the top of the turret. There's an edge here also. We're probably going to hand paint the numbers on this one. Probably. I don't know what numbers I'm going to use. These guys have sometimes a really weird numbering system. And I might even put the Panzer symbol on it. There's only a handful of Panzer divisions that use these, and Panzer is one of them. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of it with my phone, show you guys on the screen for anybody that cares. You're just not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to appreciate this. Okay? Because what you're seeing here is not very accurate. Take both sides. Looks pretty good, and we hadn't even put numbers on it yet. And there's some tools and stuff to paint on here. Remember, this is a toy. Now, I believe this antenna is all the way back here. That'd be cool, because I'm going to get give it some verticality. So, let's go ahead and put the wheels. I'm not going to dry brush them first. We'll dry brush them on the vehicle. We'll put all the rubber tires. Tyres, tires. Okay. We're just going to put these things on. We don't want that hitting the floor. We don't want to do any damage control. We've done enough of that at work this week. Whew. Understatement of the century. I'm DCO'd out. Well, we don't want this thing breaking. There we go. Then we're done with all these German armored cars. This is what I wanted to avoid. Oh, okay, that doesn't glue too badly. Okay, I was thinking it was... Okay, so this actually comes off. The whole thing comes off. Okay, cool. We will... Yeah, we'll glue that in. It looks really nice with the tires. It's a good looking vehicle. Yeah, everybody likes it except Nordic. It's not my favorite vehicle. It just looks cool. It's got a cool shaped turret, is what I like about it. It's got a cool shaped turret. However, pulling these wheels off may not have been the best idea because I weakened them. We'll just have to epoxy them back together. Okay, that one's actually easy to glue. It's this one I want to break off. This one's just a little peg. All right. That one was easy. I actually have a scenario in one of the Heroes of Omaha and Panzer Lair skirmish campaigns book that has one of these in a scenario. I believe it's called Lair Recon. And the crowd goes dormant. Gotta say some controversial stuff to get you guys wound up. I don't say anything controversial. I don't say anything I wouldn't tell somebody right to their face. And this thing broke off, which I didn't want it to break off. It broke off. Okay, well, no surprise there, considering how much stress it was under. All right, so we're going to mix up. We're going to have to mix up some epoxy these two things in. And this is going to go on a stand anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But looks pretty good. Is this removable? Well, we're going to epoxy this in place too, so this thing's not all jiggly. And then we're going to, after we glue this, we're going to weather it. And then we're going to pick, I got to do the numbers. I got to figure out what I'm going to call it number-wise. Then weather it, and then paint the tools, and then we should be done with this. All right, so let's go ahead and mix up a little bit of epoxy. I'll be careful I don't put anything on that green stuff. You know, I used epoxy. I could probably prime these two king tigers tonight and they'll be ready to go to paint them in the morning. But I'm going to want to paint them with an airbrush. Because as much as I like the AK MIG ammo paints, I don't like dry brushing with it. I do it here just to kind of bring that color back, but I just don't think that they work worth a damn as painting. They're too watery. But their formulation's perfect for airbrushing because you don't even have to thin them. And if I was using Vallejo, I gotta thin the Vallejo a little bit. Okay, this one should be pretty much straightforward. This one we're just gonna put some glue on this peg. And there she goes, we're done with that. This one, on the other hand, is a little bit more tricky. I'm gonna overkill this bastard. Was it the other way? Yep. It'll be fine. Another vehicle, it's a perfect example. We put it on a stand so you don't put all that pressure on it. But there's a hole there for the antenna already. This would not work well at all with super glue. We're gonna have to leave that off until it gets, this kind of gets hard, and put a big goop on there and just to goop it on there. Okay, folks, I will be right back. Had to use a little boy's room. Okay, it goes like that. This is not going to be visible. So let's lay that stuff on thick. All right, we got it now. See how this piece of plastic fared? Scoop it out underneath. Not bad. And then we're going to have some tons of Figure. What's that guy's name? Hessler. Old Hessler in the King Tiger. The trumpeter models were beautiful, but they don't have openable hatches. So I'm gonna leave that alone. Let's find out. Let's see some numbering schemes for Pumas. Let's go SDKFZ 234/2. 111 of them, I believe. (234/2). The SDKFZ 234 was the first and only German armored vehicle to use an air-cooled diesel engine. Interesting. So those can't blow up. Interesting. The first and possibly best known version of SDKFZ 234/2. It had a turret armed. I don't dislike the metric system at all, but I don't like calling something that could be called a 50 millimeter as a 5 centimeter. No. A 50 millimeter L60 gun, which originally was intended for the VK 1602 Leopard light tank. It was produced from late 43 to mid 44. Some sources suggest that the SDKFZ 234-2 was used by the following combat units: Panzerlehr Division 25, 2nd Panzer 25, 1st SS Panzer Division 16, 20th Panzer Division 16, 7th Panzer Division unconfirmed, 13th Panzer Division unconfirmed, Brandenburg Panzer Grenadier Division 2 issued in January 45. Well, I don't care about the SS units or those other ones. So Panzerlehr and 2nd Panzer, huh? Well, 2nd Panzer has the Trident. I actually have some vehicles that have the Trident thing on them. SDKFZ 234/2 camouflage images. Okay, here's from the Petting House model. Is it irony? Is it? This one's number 111, and there's 111 of them made, I believe. Oh, here's one with a similar paint scheme as mine. It's 415 in red and white numbers. You got the Balkan turrets on the side of the turret. That's interesting. You got to put that thing first and make sure you leave enough space for it. Let's see. 20th Panzer Division is 1111. 415 is supposedly Panzerlehr. Interesting. The one that has 3 ones, Hitler Jugend, screw those guys, and 517 is 116th. Windhund. It's a little greyhound. Well, interesting. Now here's something I did not know. This 111 on the turret has a 1 in between the first and the second tire. This 415 has the last digit 5 in that same location, and the 1111 has 11. So that must be the 11th vehicle. So whatever number it is that I do, I'm going to put a little white number in between those first two. Interesting. I know I don't have numerals that are that small. They're actually so small I ended up having to use, when I made the Lukes, this cute Lukey here. Oh, this is 414. Yeah, actually. This is a terrible model, but it actually looks good. No doubt because of the double antennas. It just gives you something to look at. Oh, we also did the green, and that's cool. I think we're gonna put a Panzer layer symbol on it. I said I wasn't gonna do that, but hey, I can change the rules at any moment. The question is, where does it go? I know it's on the front. It's got to be on that slope part of the armor. Yeah, nice camouflage scheme on that. So we're definitely going to put the cross. Looks like it goes on the center of the turret. So you got to put a small little number in the corner. Let's X this out. These instructions from a TACOM model. Well, that's where I'm going to put it. I'm going to put it right here on the front glacis plate. Are we ready to put the gloss coat for that? I think so. I think I need to go ahead and do that. See if we don't have an accent with this. And I don't know if I have a little Panzer letter symbol or not, but we're going to go ahead and put a little gloss coat there. We'll hand paint whatever number this is down here. Oh, that tire is just going to be a problem until it gets put on a stand. Yeah, shit happens. Give it some extra stress. The fact that it was what's on the back of the turret? I'm gonna gloss coat that. That looks like it needs something back there. It's kind of barren. Yeah, what kind of a Balkenkreuz was it? Was it one with a black center? Yeah. I know I don't have any numbers that small. Here's the Skytrex decals. Those have been my go-to decals there. See if we got something with a Panzer layer on it. guess it wasn't that popular of a unit. You know, that came with markings. Yeah, I don't have any numbers that are that small. I don't have pins or layer symbols, which isn't a big deal. I can hand paint that if I really, really want to. Let's get the Skytrex decals. Those have been my favorite ones. These too big? No. Question is, am I going to put one back here behind the back? I'm thinking I am. Let's cut out 3. I'll be buying more of these when I need to. These have been really good. To give you a ton of them, I think they're available on eBay. I think that's where I got these. I've been pretty happy with them. Still got water in here? Sure do. Oh. What kind of nonsense is this? Surface tension bullshit. There you go. So we're going to hand paint the number. It's probably going to be 3 digits. I may just do it in white just to kind of keep it simple. I don't want it to be red and white just like the other one, so. Put some of the micro set down here. It's almost bedtime for me. I'm no good at night. Oh, I still got some of this shit on here. Well, that's waiting. There's a little bit of. No, I believe this tank model came already with this hole snapped off in transit. Not a big deal, just another thing you gotta fix. Okay, that's ready to go. That'll give me some space to go back here in the corner. So we're putting it actually almost even with where that hump starts. So we'll do the same thing over here. And then the one in the back. And then we'll need plenty of space to put the number there at the top of the turret there. Nope. Let's take the last little vestiges of paint out of here. You got paint on the ends of the bristles. It won't allow the bristles to come together. Oh, this has the 415 in black. Oh, look, they took my idea and decided to put a Balkenkreuz at the back of the turret. Thieving my idea. It looks like it belongs there. You know? Looks like it belongs there. So what recon vehicle is this one? This is 414. Okay. I may try to do the white with the red in the center. If somebody can pull it off, I can pull it off. I'm not scared. Let's give it a shot. For that, we're going to need some white here. Flow-aid, the magic ingredient. Wedding drops for brushes, really. Okay, and I have a 414. So these 415s are floating around. If you follow the same nomenclature, it's going to end up being the last number is going to be the number of the vehicle. So I'm actually fine with a 4. I'm going to go 422. I'm going to go 422. Now, let's do a different 4. Let's do the 4 that's in here. Okay, we're going to start the opposite way. We're going to start in the back. And we're going to start with gray. So let's go ahead and grab this. That's black brown. Let's get black. It's just easier for me to just go ahead and mix this up. Let's see what this 4 looks like. We're going to do a straight line. And then this one goes towards the bottom half. And then we're going to brighten it up with real white once we got it where we want it. And we're going to come in and put red in the center of it. So it looks thicker than it's supposed to be by a smidge, but that's by design. Okay, so same thing. I'm actually going to start with a vertical on the 4. And then a pair of 2s. And that looks pretty equivalent. So let's go ahead and lighten this up. Using pure white. I may leave it in white. It looks pretty good. You know, when you do this camouflage, all of a sudden you got like this gleam. love doing this, by the way. And by rights, this should have a 2 in the center of this panel. We're going to go ahead and do that. But we're going to go ahead and put the gray in there first. I like that because it kind of gives you kind of like a rough draft. And then we'll come in with a white. These tires have seen better days. And that one's going to stay white, regardless of what I do, the ones that on the turret. Okay, I'm gonna paint the Panzerlehr symbol on it. I'm in that kind of a mood. So, Panzerlehr insignia. All right, I only have to do one of them, so they don't have to match. We're gonna put it right here on the hull. Too thick and too watery. Easy fix. That'll work for now. Boy, this thing is in dire need to be on a stand. In dire need to be on a stand. All right. I don't know if anybody's watching this, but fuck it, I'm taking a picture of it. Looks pretty good to me. Looks pretty good to me. Okay, well, I think I'm going to call it a night. And, yeah, we'll finish this little guy up tomorrow. I got to a good stopping point. But this, I believe this was used to be like a toy or something, so we'll have a little bit of weathering, do some scratches and stuff on there.